Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Commercial Photographer Podcast with myself, Marcus Ahmad, and my wonderful co-host, Sam. How you doing, mate?
Very good, Marcus. How about you?
I am terrific, thank you. I'm terrific. Yeah, really good. Enjoying the summer. All good with me.
Excellent.
So, what's going on?
Well, I was quite inspired by your last show where you were talking about things to do in the summer and things. And one of the things you talked about was getting back in touch with your clients, and that really got me
That's right.
thinking. So I'm going to kind of do a show about turning clients into repeat business. Different ways you can try and get that income coming in more by making sure your clients keep coming back and keep coming back.
That's what we want. Let's hear how we do it.
Cool. Right, going to do a quick pause. Apologies, cousin, because I've plugged my laptop in, but it doesn't seem to actually be charging. And I'm slightly worried it'll then stop in the middle of the show.
Get that sorted, mate. Yep.
Oh, yeah. You have to turn the socket on when you've plugged it in. Well done, Sam. Sorry about that, Callum. Right, I'll now carry on. So, yeah, as a photographer, often most photographers work with one batch of work coming in at a time. I've got to shoot, do the shoot, money comes in, end of shoot, looking for more shoots. As a very basic model. That's how 90% of photographers run. But
Mm.
some, and you might get some clients coming back, some not, but you can make it with systems and thought and organizations quite different and much more of a continuous income, continuous relationship model. So we're going to talk about that. Obviously, for you, big advantages are that you've got money constantly coming in. You can plan a bit more, you can organize a bit more, you know where you are. It just makes life, yeah, part of the thing is it makes life less worrying when there's regular money coming in each month
Of
in the bank.
course, yeah. No, that's what you
Regular-
want, really, isn't it? Funny
Exactly.
enough, a video friend, a friend of mine who owns a video company once said to me, and he used to do photography, and he said to me that he always thought that photographer was the worst business model you could do for that very reason,
Yeah.
Sam. You're always
But
chasing your tail.
that's it, but you don't have to do that model. So, I mean, the clients who have used you already, they already know you, like you, trust you. So the work of sale in some ways and marketing is 90% done. Because if you're starting with somebody new, they're getting to know you, they're not sure who you are. They already know all that. They already knew good photos. So from that point of view, amazing. They're already converted. And many of them actually probably need more photos, even if they don't quite know it, or maybe they know it and you don't quite know it. So lots of them, probably actually want new work. They just haven't really thought about it and just need a bit of a nudge. So almost the money's
Mm.
sat there on the table. So I'm going to talk about two completely different approaches to this. And one is kind of still where you do the individual photo shoots, but you kind of build a really strong relationship in between time so that you're not on like a retainer, but the money keeps coming. And then the option is the retainer option. So I'm going to talk about that first. The idea that instead of you charge for a photo shoot, end of story, they're on some sort of monthly or quarterly plan, whatever it is, where they pay every month or pay every quarter and they get through the year, they just get a
Mm.
series of photo shoots.
Right.
Um, you know, for the client, all sorts of advantages, especially. So I would recommend charging monthly because first of all, you can straight away then be going, well, a photo shoot is this much, but we could work, if you become a retained client, whatever you call it, you give it a nice name. Um, it's actually much better for your cash flow because it's only this much per month. The amount you pay per month is a lovely figure because it should be less than a photo shoot because probably only doing one photo
Yeah.
shoot every 6 months or once a quarter. So instantly going, well, it's this much for the photo shoot or, this much per month. And especially for slightly smaller businesses, I don't have to worry about that big lump. It spreads it out. It actually makes it sound more affordable when actually in the long term, they're paying you more. But that monthly figure, and they're used to monthly figures as well nowadays with everybody. We were talking about this the other day, weren't we, Marcus? With all the subscriptions we're paying for, everyone kind of knows how it works, but everyone still likes that monthly figure, which is less.
Yeah. It's slightly deceiving, isn't it? Is what you're saying there. But
Yes,
but
no.
it's part of what we're used to, isn't it?
That's it. But then they are getting lots of value and stuff, so it depends how you do it. Yeah. So cash flow is great for customers. Obviously, they get fresh images constantly, so they're not just repeating the same things, and they're getting seasonal images, so they're not in the middle of summer showing them in a big coat on a kind of drizzly street or vice versa. And it doesn't mean we have to be cheesy. I'm in the sun and I've got my Hawaiian shirt on, but it's just pictures that are outside and stuff. Though, and I think probably, Mark, you agree, there's probably
Mm,
nice to have some in situation. And it's
mm.
clear what season it is, and that kind of, if you're posting and stuff, that is makes such a difference. Stuff
Yeah, I
with
totally agree with you.
season and being fresh, and maybe you've got new clients and you're doing different things, and that's all then constantly reflected. And when they're looking to post on LinkedIn or wherever else they're posting, they've got fresh images rather than going, well, we'll use the same one we've used 43 times before. Um,
Sam, can you think of any business in particular, businesses that we could approach who you think are who would be more open to this idea of subscription models?
I don't think it fits to any particular business. I think any business that does branding would be really useful to them. Probably some that use social media more than others would be good because they're constantly in need of
Mm,
those images. Um, Possibly businesses that are slightly bigger, it might, for the solopreneur, it might start to get a little bit expensive for them, where they might more do a one-off every few years. But if you've got customers that already tend to do photos every year or so, yeah, definitely them. So I can't think of any particularly because I think it
uh,
could apply to most people as long as it's
okay.
kind of affordable to them, which is most. Yeah, I think it'll work. It's just persuading them that, the value of it to them in
Yeah.
the cash flow, in terms of the freshness, in terms of the looking seasonal, in terms of the website staying updated. Them not just repeating that, their content on socials, not just being stale because it's the same pictures of them and their team again, 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 again.
Mm.
Obviously, for you, we've already said, brilliant for that predictable monthly income. It's also good for shooting schedules because often photographers are going, "Oh my god, I'm suddenly." Well, you can be like, "Okay, say you do a shoot, you choose the shooting schedule, but say you have a plan where it's every quarter. You can, when you've done one quarter shoot, schedule the next one in then, and it helps you to. Then you've got a
Oh,
much
totally.
much easier workload and easier to plan than kind of running around at the last minute, suddenly going from nothing to loads to nothing again. Kind of helps you to plan that in. And also then for the clients, they also kind of have it on board like an advisor because you're kind of helping them, advising them in between the shoots. So kind of, they're getting that side of it too, rather than just kind of showing up, delivering the pictures, off you go and disappear.
You're more entrenched in their
That's it.
business.
Yeah,
I mean, when I talk to my subscription clients, I always say, look, by signing me up, you're getting your own marketing, creative department,
exactly.
because I'm not just supplying photos. I can start putting their logos on the images. I can, use their text, use their brand stuff. And also it's good for me, Sam, because I know I can then decide how my images are being used. I've got much more
Yes.
creative control over that.
Exactly. Yeah, perfect. So you've not, you mean, so when they were using stuff on socials, you're helping them rather than them being cropped and then looking a bit pants, but people know they're your images.
Exactly, Sam.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Perfect. Cool. So selling this, I think we've talked a lot about this already. There's that less upfront, that monthly cost, headline cost, that's a big thing in it. Those advantages, the seasonality, that's a big in it. The cash flow, that's a big thing. And like I said, those that advise within the team. And if you're talking about those things, I think this is, yeah, so many of your clients could go for this and would go for this if you talk
Yeah.
about it with them and give them that option. If they're talking about a photo shoot, say, well, we can do that. Or, we've got this that actually brings your initial cost down, means you've got that support, means you've got constant help throughout the year, and many people will go for it.
I think you need to package it in a way, though, that's not just saying, "Look, you're gonna
Oh,
be,"
yeah,
it's not just money based, but you're gonna be adding extra the value, the bloody V word, I know, but adding extra value to what they're doing and their output.
exactly. That's a funny, Marcus, because the next thing on my list is what to include the package. So there
Wicked.
you go.
Let's go for
You
it.
read my mind. So, yes, so the key is you've got to, when you're selling it, you focus on the outcomes, as in they should, they'll have fresher social content, which help them engage more. They'll have a better looking website. So we're talking about them actually getting more customers and stuff. So there's that side is kind of what sells it, but you also need to make very clear what you get in terms of you get A, B, C, D, E. Now, I often say that's not what sells it, but you need to be very clear what they do get, because in some cases you don't want them to expect this and then get this, and you don't want them to be constantly asking you for things that aren't included and you thinking this isn't really working as I thought I'd do this, and they're asking for all of this. So being very, very clear from the outset what is included is important, but that's not what sells it. So yeah, having kind of a bullet pointed, you get this, you get this, you get this. So you need to think about how many shoots per year. I think
Mhm.
probably a quarterly buy is probably a good base point, but you might have different packages where some is more, some is less. Um,
Just on that point, Sam, sorry,
yeah,
it's just coming to my head, sorry to interrupt. Just on that point, and this is something that I've noticed when I have done packages where you've got like 4 shoots during the year, you have to be quite strict to make sure that, they're done in a certain time
yeah,
frame.
yeah, yeah.
But
You don't. You mean you
otherwise, they people will always put it off. They don't wanna be photographed. They'll put it off till in the end. All of a sudden, you've got to cram in 4 shoots, or it goes on to the following year or something like
No, it's
that.
definitely well, I don't think it should so we're gonna come on to this now. I don't think there should be a following year. There should be a
No.
monthly
Yeah.
subscription, and so there shouldn't be a discussion after it just carries on. But yeah, definitely, I would always say you do a photo shoot basically straight off, and I would say as part of that process, you book in the next one, so it's far enough away they're not worried about it almost, right, we'll do the next one in December. Let's pencil something in the calendar now. Bang, we're off.
Mm.
And then it's just carries on that way. You've got to think about then the support in between. So Marcus said you might do some cropping for them and stuff, but you need to be super clear on that. Some clients will be asking for nothing and you almost need to be helping them, showing them what you do, but others will be pestering for everything. So you need to think about that too. What is it that you're providing? Be very, very clear. So that when they do pester beyond, you kind of go, okay, this is what providing. We've kind of come to the limit of that, or whatever it is. And you might have different levels where the top level is they're paying a lot, so you're quite happy to that. But lower levels are you get, I don't know, this many gifts or this many recrops, whatever it is. But think about it, write it down, and make it super clear. So before they kind of sign on the dotted line, you've sent them a this is what you get. So it's super, super clear. And that includes access to you, whether you're doing extra bits with the photos, cropping, whatever, videos, all those sorts of things. And then also think about the shoots. Are they all going to be the same, or do you maybe do like a big shoot and then minus once a year and then minor seasonal shoots, or are they all the same? So just think about that too.
You have to be a little bit flexible in it. One, as you say, one day might be a studio shoot, a whole personal branding shoot. The next one might be covering them doing an event or a book signing. It
Yeah,
could be something like that.
no, there needs to be flexibility, but yeah, you're right. There needs to be flexibility. But what you do need is a clear guideline. So one, they can't say you haven't provided what you said because you've got a clear bang, 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 bang. But also they don't start to take because some clients always. I mean, you'll know this, Marcus. Some clients never ask for much. Some clients ask
Mm,
for a really nice amount. Some clients, and usually the ones who are trying to push the price down, want the moon and will just ask for everything, and you really have to go, no, this is what included. Otherwise, you will go insane with them. Um, cool. Right. And then, yeah, so what we said a minute ago about the renewal. So I think this should be like a monthly pay. They pay every month. And then you kind of thinking about that shouldn't then be, you don't need to after you go, oh, should we carry on? It just is automatic. It's just a rolling, ongoing thing.
right.
So the discussion never comes up. So you just need to think practically how you do that. So you need to you really need an accounting system that's invoicing automatically every month. I use Go Cardless, which is then a direct debit system. So effectively, what happens is they fill in a little form, which is direct debit mandate. I have zero, but other accounting systems do the same, sends out an invoice automatically every month. That is then automatically paid by the direct debit every month. So it's just, you don't have to worry about it. The client doesn't have to worry about it. It just happens automatically and
Gotcha.
naturally. I mean, you could do it manually if you only got a few, but it'd be so easy to miss. There are free accounting
Yeah.
packages that do those monthly, and you could just ask them to set up a standing order. But obviously, that's less in your control, the standing order.
Yeah. I mean, your business, no doubt, Sam, is completely, I would imagine, most of your clients are you on subscription
Yeah,
clients.
exactly. But yeah, it's making that one smoothly because apart from anything else, if it's running, if you're having to every month say, "Oh, have you paid this month?" It's reminding them they're paying almost. While if it's automatic, it's kind of there's less likelihood they'll actually stop because it's kind of smooth. It's happening automatically.
Mm,
While if every month it's, "Oh, have you paid? Here's your invoice." It adds some kind of friction into that system, which you're
right.
better avoiding. Cool. Right. Option two, I need to be super quick now. So the other option is you still do the shoot by shoot model where you get paid to do a shoot. But what you do in between is provide so much support and almost embed yourself in their business, almost in a similar way to a subscription. But you're not they're not paying subscription, but you may be charging more for the shoots. But kind of you embed yourself in the business, give those support. So almost the next photo shoots come naturally. They're not going to go to anyone else because you were talking to them the whole time, you're helping
Okay.
them the whole time. Maybe even drip feeding them, even though they're not paying, drip feeding them some extra content. So not loads, but crop a couple of things. Give them an extra video. Maybe
Yeah.
even when you edit, do more than you give them. And then you can kind of just give them extra bits. So you're kind of giving them ideas, talking to them. So it's kind of almost like the subscription where you're kind of really embedding yourself in the business, but you're almost making yourself part of it so that they're thinking about you, they know you're there. So the next photo shoots almost come as a matter of course
Mm.
and automatically because you're there and part of it.
Okay.
It does take a bit of work, and that's not going to happen automatically. You've really got to think, how am I going to support these people? What am I going to do? And then I think the real key is to avoid the here's your photos by approach. Almost maybe give them a few sets of photos, but make it really that it's not here's your photos by. It's just them getting the photos is part of a process.
Okay. Okay, I get what I have noticed, Sam, over these last few years is a growing number of businesses who are taking on their own in-house photographers, big companies. And this is just getting more and more. Sometimes the rates are quite low, maybe 25, but sometimes they're looking for people and the rate is like 40 grand a year for a wage, 40
Yeah.
for like a good photographer, video maybe as well. So obviously there's a demand and a need for it, and this will boost. There's certainly a different approach, but there is a demand for it out there. I think
Yeah,
regular
definitely.
content is what I'm saying. That's
Oh,
what.
yeah, 100%. There
Yeah,
is definitely. And often, even those people who have in-house photographers, often sometimes they are photographers, but sometimes they are more content creators, more doing the videos and kind of are great on the ideas, but actually are not technical photographers. So they do often then need a photographer, a professional photographer to come in and do some stuff
yeah,
for them,
yeah.
even then. And it is also an opportunity if you see those jobs advertised that you could talk that bit and go, look, I know you're looking for a photographer. I think I could help you without having the
That's
employment
right.
cost. This is how I can help.
That's exactly right.
And you could talk
Exactly good.
about the either model, either these are the shoots and I help you in between, or kind of that subscription model, and you could help them. But yeah, if you do go for that non-subscription model, like embedding yourself, is just that's got to be really thought about. How are you going to stay in touch? What are you going to say? You really systemize it, because it would be easy for it to drift. There's time every week where I've set aside a couple of hours where I'm staying in touch with those clients. I'm thinking what else I can provide to them. So it then becomes a kind of continuous chat relationship where you're part of their business.
That's fantastic, Sam. Sam, that is absolutely great stuff. I love that model, the subscription model. And maybe just talking about subscriptions and subscribers, we could talk about people. Maybe if you enjoyed the show, subscribe to us as well.
So subscribe, like, send us reviews, all those sorts of things are much, much appreciated and helps other photographers find us.
Thank you.
And it has
Yeah,
been a pleasure chatting, Marcus,
a
as
pleasure,
always.
Sam. Okay.
And I'll see you next week.
See you next week, mate. Bye bye.
Bye.